Over the past 3 decades, the National University of Singapore, or NUS, has emerged as the most influential force in Singapore's startup ecosystem. NUS Enterprise, the university's entrepreneurial arm, has been playing a pivotal role in advancing innovation and entrepreneurship. In this episode, we discover how NUS Enterprise supports students, alumni, faculty and researchers at every step of their entrepreneurial journey in Singapore and even beyond. Since early 2000, NUS has been infusing its core competencies, education and research with the spirit of enterprise. Today, it is one of the largest incubators of startups in Singapore, and 9 NUS-supported startups are now unicorns, which are new companies valued at more than $1 billion. There are many reasons why Singapore's flagship university is so intent on nurturing young entrepreneurs.
First, a lot of our graduates prefer to start their own companies instead of working for others. They think being a startup CEOs or founders is an exciting career journey for them. The second is about the whole educational model. We focus a lot on academic learning. In some way, entrepreneurship is about experiential learning, and it is about working at the same time learning. So in many ways, it provides a different dimension of education that we'd like our graduates to have. And finally, we are excited about it because startup can create many jobs.
Driving innovation and entrepreneurship across and beyond the university is the mission of NUS Enterprise.
NUS Enterprise is instrumental in aggregating resources and support for the startup ecosystem in NUS. One important part that NUS Enterprise fulfill is the talent. The second component will be the supporting infrastructure. And then the third part is how we are actually connecting with the world.
Today, its achievements are significant.
There's a force pulling on the IV tube.
In the last 20 years, we have made very great progress. We have established ourselves as a thriving ecosystem in the development of entrepreneurship, not just in NUS, but in Singapore and beyond. This was very much in line with the overall NUS vision and mission, which was to bring the role of the university beyond education and research to creating impact and value. This is also in line with the overall NUS aspiration to ensure that the environment within NUS was one which excited young people and made them feel that they could contribute to creating the future through the entrepreneurial activities, through the impact that their startups and scale-ups could bring.
In fact, in 2020, NUS accounted for close to 30% of tech-based startups in Singapore. And NUS-affiliated startups account for 20% of the venture capital funds raised by companies based here.
NUS Enterprise has come a long way since the university embarked on its entrepreneurial drive more than 2 decades ago. It was the then newly appointed NUS president, Professor Shi Chun-Fong, who mooted this move.
There can be no walls between imparting, creating, and applying knowledge.
Back then, NUS's core mission was teaching. Concerted and collaborative research efforts were practically non-existent. In his inaugural address as president in June 2000, Professor Shi articulated his vision of NUS as a global knowledge enterprise. He said NUS will be to Singapore what Stanford is to Silicon Valley. And the vehicle for change, NUS Enterprise, a specially formed entity. The late Professor Jacob Pung, an award-winning academic, researcher and technopreneur, was the founding CEO. The very first initiative of NUS Enterprise was the NUS Overseas Colleges, or NOC. Under this program, the first of its kind in the world, Students get to spend up to a year at an entrepreneurial hotspot overseas. There, they intern at a startup and have access to mentors and coaches in the local ecosystem, while taking classes at a prestigious partner university.
Our vision is actually to plant the seed of entrepreneurship on a generation of young graduates from our university.
Despite the ingenuity of NOC, not everyone bought into the idea.
There are a lot of challenges, as you can imagine, for such a groundbreaking program. Internally, I think the faculty and school were resistant to the idea because they felt that entrepreneurship is not part of the major of the student. For a student who goes on NOC program, they will be out of sync with the rest of the cohort, and that creates a lot of administrative work for the faculty and school. And the student, they may have to extend their candidature by up to a year.
Getting overseas universities and startups on board was also a challenge.
The early days of NOC was like a thrilling roller coaster ride. Prof. Shi alluded it to flying aeroplane. The plane has taken off. There's a lot of turbulence, but we have a very able pilot in Professor Jacob Pang.
It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to the official launch and signing of the MOU between NUS and NUSS in connection with the NUS Enterprise Center in Silicon Valley.
The inaugural cohort of NUS overseas college students arrived in Silicon Valley in 2002. Today, the program is also flourishing in other entrepreneurial hubs around the world, such as Beijing, Jakarta, Israel, Nagoya, New York, Shanghai, Shenzhen, Singapore, Stockholm, and Toronto.
One of the most important criteria that we use to access a location for the NOC program is its vibrancy as a startup ecosystem. When I look for companies for students to intern at, I first look at the domain of the companies. We want the companies to be in new areas that's exciting for the students. Second, we want companies that are not too big. I want our students to be able to experience the intensity of working in a small startup, that they can also take on multiple roles. We want the students to have the opportunity to interact with the founders on a daily basis and be inspired by their own personal stories and how the founders work.
Turn the device so you can switch the water off.
Carissa Lee, who was recently in Toronto for 10 months, found her NOC experience most fulfilling. She took classes at the University of Toronto and was an intern at a life insurance startup.
The great thing about NOC is that it really gives you the chance to really meet people from all walks of life. Very different from the background and upbringing that you were raised. It really helps me to grow as a person, build my character, and to get exposure to a different culture outside of Singapore. At the same time, really honing that entrepreneurial mindset of always wanting to challenge the status quo. This is something that my company really encourages. Always ask yourself, how can I do my job better? I would say my biggest takeaway and tying all this back to what it means to be entrepreneurial in general is to really have that mental agility, to really know when to adapt and to adapt to different cultures.
About 20,000 startup employees work for 3,900 startups in Singapore.
Outside of class and work, NOC students also participate in conferences, workshops, hackathons, and networking events. At each NOC location, there is a manager who looks after the students and their progress. In Toronto, Harpreet Singh is the manager. He is also the NOC program head for North America. An alumnus of NOC Stockholm, Harpreet finds satisfaction in giving back to the community.
You wear many hats, from being a manager to a mentor to a coach to a shepherd. What I do is select the students in Singapore, prepare them about things like CV preparation, interview skills. Over here, I look for companies that are suitable to hire our students. I also look for mentors, internship assessors, course instructors that can help our students. And of course, when they're here, I'm able to influence them, inspire them, hopefully, lead them to want to say that I want to go back to Singapore and start my own company.
Over the years, many NOC alumni have described the experiential program as life-changing. Marcus Tan, co-founder of unicorn startup Carousel, is one of them.
Going to Silicon Valley opened my mind. Before that, I had this mindset where you do well at school, you find a job, you maybe join a management trainee program. Going there just totally opened up my mind. I realized that to create something meaningful and impactful is really to start a tech company, and what I've learned there was that making mistakes or even trying was part of the whole journey and experience, and we started Carousel.
Guan Dian, co-founder of unicorn startup PatSnap, was also bitten by the entrepreneurial bug during her university days.
If you join NOC, you get to travel to the most entrepreneurial places in the world, such as Silicon Valley. Living there for a year, every day you see people who are in their 20s, their 30s, doing all kinds of cool stuff to try to change the world.
This year we are celebrating 20 years. We have more than 3,400 students who have gone through the NOC program. More than 1,000 companies have been formed by this group of graduates. And we're quite proud that 2 of them are unicorns, PatSnap and Carousel.
The success of the NOC program is that it's not only produced a lot of startups at a much higher rate than a normal university graduate, but it also have contributed to creating many young graduates who choose to work in the ecosystem. So for example, they work for Enterprise Singapore, which is involved in promoting and supporting startups. They work for incubators. They work for venture capitalists.
For NOC alumni keen to pursue a career in entrepreneurship, their overseas stint is just the beginning of an invigorating journey. To turn their ideas into viable businesses, budding entrepreneurs can tap on a suite of incubation programs by NUS Enterprise. Many NUS students who join the NOC program find it a deeply transformative experience. When they return to Singapore, they are excited to grow their potential to become entrepreneurs. That's where Enterprise House, or N-House, comes in. Managed by NUS Enterprise, N-House is an entrepreneurship-themed residence that nurtures an active community of student entrepreneurs. Here, students get access to weekly programs such as workshops, hackathons, and pitching sessions.
We didn't want our NOC students to sort of drop off a cliff after they finish their NOC program. So on their return, we actually wanted them to stay in a residence in which they can carry on the same type of entrepreneurial activities with like-minded people.
Rishabh Patwari is a student who spent a semester at N-House after returning from Silicon Valley.
I think one of the most life-changing aspects of my N-House experience has been meeting some really successful founders who are my age. So for example, I met one of the founders whose startup has now led to him being in Forbes 30, under 30. And it's really inspiring because you see that your peers can do it, so you can do it too. And you learn about their challenges and experience they went through, and that helps you to work towards it.
Besides N-House, NUS Enterprise also provides a range of incubation programs to help students nurture their business ideas. The Hangar is the campus-based incubator for NUS student and alumni startups.
The Hangar was introduced because at that point in time, NOC students were already starting companies. They need to find a place to start their first journey. The name is interesting because we want students to see their startups as being an airplane. So if you go to the Hangar today, you'll see that on the floor was painted actually a runway. The students view their startups as an airplane, being able to take off after they come out from the Hangar.
NUS Enterprise organizes programs throughout the year for the startups at the hangar. Many of them are networking events that draw angel investors, venture capitalists, corporate partners, and government agencies. Augmentus was among the startups which benefited from the program at the hangar from 2020 to 2021. The company has developed an AI platform that allows non-technical operators to program industrial robots in minutes without the need for coding.
In the early days of Augmentus, one of the key things that we wanted to acquire was clients and partners. NUS is a wide support network of MNCs, SMBs, and even mid-market kind of companies. And they actually introduce us to other companies needing automation solutions. It really helped us to establish a strong foothold. The resources provided by Hangar really allowed us to scale in a manner that was a lot faster than what our competitors were doing at that point of time. So I really believe that's what incubation is all about. Providing that safe space, that support that allows startups to thrive and build sustainable solutions for the world.
To date, more than 500 startups have graduated from our various incubation centers on campus, including the hangar. To support established startups, to access technology, talent, new markets and funding opportunities, NUS Enterprise launched Block 71.
Block 71 was kind of a natural progression from building an entrepreneur to building a vibrant startup ecosystem. A vibrant ecosystem is always about three things: big ideas, talent, and capital. So it was for this reason that we actually partnered Singtel Innovate, who has access to capital, as our partner to start Block 71. And of course, as a university, NUS has great access to big ideas as well as talent in the form of our students.
One of the Block 71 founders is Dr. Lily Chan, former CEO of NUS Enterprise.
By 2008-2009, we had already created a small community on campus. The old bungalows along Prince George's Park, we had containers there that were housing some of the earlier startups. And as the startups get successful, they hired more people, and there was really no more space on campus for them. So we started to look around, and I spoke to quite a number of organizations in Singapore. Many of these were very open-minded and wanted to help. Spring Singapore, today they're called Enterprise SG. At that time, they and MDA were also looking at how to stimulate the startup ecosystem in Singapore. Singtel was starting up their venture arm. It was coincidental for tweeters, all three of us got together.
First, they identified an industrial building, Block 71 at Ayer Rajah, as the ideal location to develop the startup ecosystem.
The building was slated for demolition in 3 years' time. MDA leased out the building. We took space there. Next question is, what do you call it? Colleagues from the agencies, they say, oh, call it Silicon Ayer Rajah or Ayer Rajah Valley. And I was shaking my head. One evening, one of our staff sort of said, hey, this one is Block 71. It's very iconic, it's very Singaporean, everyone can associate with it because of how we name our HDBs. So the whole thing just sort of fit together.
Carousel was one of the startups previously based at Block 71. Co-founders Lucas Nu, Kwek Sure, and Marcus Tan had won a hackathon with their business idea in 2012. The prize was an opportunity to be part of Block 71 for 3 months. They found the experience so helpful that they didn't mind paying to stay on.
NUS Enterprise provided us the Block 71 co-working space. So that was fundamental in terms of giving us a home to work, to focus. The second one, of course, is the community. So we're also working in an area with like-minded entrepreneurs and tech startups that we could bounce ideas off and to also solve some of the challenges that we have. And the third thing is NUS Enterprise helped connect various mentors, and some in fact became our investors. So they're really hands-on, provide operating experience, what product features to build, How do you scale, hire people? How do you think about fundraising? So overall, Block 71 was very crucial in terms of helping us to scale the product to be able to launch internationally.
Today, Block 71 is Singapore's largest tech ecosystem. More than 1,000 startups have benefited from it.
I think Block 71 helped catalyze the startup movement in Singapore. Block 71 has many startups. They're collaborative and co-create together. The power of this community is the network. Everybody start to refer to everyone and you start to hear about it. Growth stage companies need talent, they need money, they need introduction to larger companies so that they can test their ideas and their products. If you don't have a community like that, I think the catalytic effect may not be that fast.
The uniqueness of Block 71 lies in its connectedness and its dynamism. There was a study conducted that found that Block 71 companies are more connected to players within the ecosystem compared to startups that are outside Block 71. So meaning they form more relationships and deeper relationships with VCs, with other companies, and even their customers.
Besides nurturing startups locally, Block 71 also plays another vital role, helping them spread their wings.
Once the entrepreneurial ecosystem started getting very dynamic in Singapore, it became clear that one of the limitations was our relatively small market size. And therefore, we needed to find ways to help startups to access much larger markets. And from that need came the development of a number of overseas springboards, initially in Silicon Valley, then in Suzhou Industrial Park in China, and then after that in Indonesia.
PatSnap, the first unicorn startup nurtured by NUS Enterprise, began its journey at Block 71, Singapore. A year later, the company relocated to Suzhou, China.
We have the NUS Block 71 present there as well, and also a strong Singapore community in Suzhou Industrial Park. As a foreigner in China, in Suzhou, I'm really not familiar with the local Chinese culture, the market, and actually having that Singapore community support in the early days, those are very helpful.
Other Singapore startups that expanded to Suzhou have also found support from the Block 71 team here.
Block 71到现在为止，大概总共孵化了80余家的企业，然后呢，总体的新加坡企业占比可能到50%到60%。那么领域上呢，我们更欢迎来自做这些跟纳米材料、人工智能以及生物医药方向为主的企业。我们比较有优势的就是我们会提供一些技术的支持。我们可以帮他去找到一些科研团队也好，就是这种科研人员也好，去协助他去解决。我们在我们的孵化生态系统里面有很多的市场资源，有很多的资金资源，包括投资人，包括投资基金，包括政府的一些扶持的一些计划，我们都是为他提供一些咨询服务，然后来协助他去 link up 这些资源。
More than 10 years on, Block 71 is a global connector that facilitates two-way flow of talent and ideas. Today, Block 71 is located in Bandung, Chongqing, Jakarta, San Francisco, Ho Chi Minh City, Singapore, Suzhou, and Yogyakarta.
The factors we look for in establishing Block 71 are in locations in which there is a vibrant ecosystem with a ready source of talent. Our plans for the future of Block 71 around the globe is for it to become a platform to bring together talent to address some of the most critical problems facing the world. For example, the food crisis, education. If you can bring startups that are addressing all these problems together, I think they can address the issue in a more holistic manner.
While Block 71 continues to connect startups globally, in Singapore, NUS Enterprise is turning its focus to enabling researchers to transform their ideas and innovations into deep tech startups. NUS has what few incubators and accelerators have: a constant inflow of talent and a treasure trove of intellectual property that is growing every year. This unique combination has enabled NUS Enterprise to support more than 1,200 startups and spin-offs over the past 2 decades, a feat unmatched by any other institution in Singapore.
If you look at any university, there are 2 main missions of a university. One is to train the future talents for the country, for the society. The second important aspect is the research that we produce. We want to make sure that a lot of our research can be translated to benefit society.
To accelerate the translation of university research into commercial products and services, NUS Enterprise is embarking on Innovation and Enterprise 2.0.
NUS has actually a big reservoir of intellectual property that's created by professors. And we wanted to leverage on these deep technologies that are invented to create ventures out of them.
Our Innovation and Enterprise 2.0 approach focuses on venture creation and consists of 4 elements. First, we are developing a clever algorithm that matches founders and business ideas. Second, we are recruiting engineers to speed up prototyping at the NUS Minimum Viable Product Studio. Third, we are connecting startup CEOs with business mentors and commercial champions. Fourth, we are establishing an external early-stage venture fund to provide financing to viable startups at NUS.
One important initiative to promote venture creation is the Graduate Research Innovation Program, or GRIP. This is a comprehensive 1-year program that trains the most promising researchers and postgraduate students to transform their research into deep tech startups. Participants are provided with the business knowledge, skill sets, and resources needed to create their own startups. At every step of the way, they are guided by mentors. Rishabh Patwari is one of the GRIP participants. His startup, called Hivebotics, develops autonomous robots that can fully automate the cleaning of toilets in commercial spaces. Rishabh and his team have completed the second prototype and are currently testing and validating their product, as well as raising funds from venture capitalists.
Each team is assigned a commercial champion who is experienced veteran entrepreneur who helps you with ideation, unlocking doors to customers and clients. At the same time, you also get a venture manager who is there with you for the entire duration of the GRIP program, as well as 1 year after that to help you with the initiation of your startup.
Hey, Rishabh, Zoom. Hi, how have you been?
They pushed us to work a lot closer with our customers and partners and move towards getting things done. They helped us to realize how we should optimize our money and our time so that we can get things ready within a short span of time. We estimate by the end of next year, we would have a product ready to launch to the market.
Another deep tech startup that emerged from GRIP is Polybee. Founded by research scientist Siddharth Jadhav, it develops drones that help farmers with autonomous pollination and yield forecasting.
So what the journey at GRIP did for us was turn Polybee from a side project to a company with a solid business plan in a matter of 3 months. I was also blessed to have incredibly helpful and thoughtful advisors and mentors through the GRIP program. So my commercial champion helped me work on my business plan and asked me critical questions and was quite encouraging all the way through the process. And my venture manager had a critical role in making sure that I was always motivated to work on this. There was always support along the way. I can't imagine this happening anywhere else, where someone who was just a researcher in a lab could even think of starting a company in such a short time and get the support at all levels, not just encouragement and not just mentoring, but also financial support and support in venture building as well.
Since the launch of GRIP in 2018, more than 340 postgraduate and doctorate students have completed the program, and about 85 startups have been incorporated.
In fact, GRIP is the only venture creation program that is developing deep tech startups at scale in Southeast Asia. Our goal is to incubate 50 startups a year. GRIP is not just a venture creation program. It also provides a rigorous training program for graduates who want to be entrepreneurs. The GRIP experience increases their odds of becoming successful entrepreneurs in the long run.
So far, for every dollar that we have put into GRIP teams, the GRIP teams have managed to raise more than $4 from external sources. So this shows that external investors are also actually valuing our GRIP teams actually a lot.
Another program that is training graduate students to become deep tech startup founders is the Master of Science in Venture Creation.
You're also young and full of potential.
This is a one-year immersive program that combines experiential learning with academic rigor to enable aspiring entrepreneurs to launch new ventures.
Vanpharma is differentiated because it provides the most cost-efficient solution out there in the market.
Elmo Octavian Dharmawan is from the second batch. A former sales engineer at a Fortune 500 company, Elmo quit his job to take up the program because he yearned to realize his dream of founding a startup.
I knew the statistics of startups. 90 to 95% of the startups fail within the first year. But I still want to do it. That's why I chose to go into this master's. I need to test the water first before I actually go into startups. Master's Venture Creation in NUS offers the internship. So this experiential internship actually helped me open my eye. I was interning in Qubits. They actually created online math solutions for the kids whereby math is fun through gamification. The CEO is Stanley Han. I got to understand his hardships and what he sacrificed in order to build these Qubits from the ground up. That kind of dedication is something that inspired me. And this made me realize building a startup is just like raising a child. It's not for money, but it is for the impact that you want to create in this world.
Besides a 6-month internship at a promising startup, students learn all about venture creation and work on a hands-on project to turn an idea into a business.
We embark on a real project that has a real impact. So that's actually what makes this very exciting.
Improving people's health is what Zed Ermit and Paige Young from the pioneer batch of the Master's program are doing. Their startup, MI Cloud Technologies, develops novel magnetic interference technology that helps to enhance blood circulation in specific parts of the body. They have produced a prototype to help people with sleep problems.
We place 4 magnetic devices inside a pillow casing, and the person simply has to lie down on the pillow. And what it does is it improves the blood circulation in the palate area, and it tones up the muscle of the palate. People nowadays snore a lot, and it's because of the relaxation of the palate muscle. So once we are able to tone up the palate muscle, we can improve the blood oxygen and also reduce snoring.
The team is also developing an insole device that can improve blood circulation in the feet to prevent frostbite in winter. Backed by NUS, the startup is raring to seize a world of opportunities.
We have already started working on the expansion program. We have started testing our sleep product with one big multinational company in Sweden. We are testing the foot insole device with one big multinational company in Europe. And we're also diversifying our application portfolio. And recently we were amongst the top 3 in the Panasonic Deep Tech competition. And we have a potential opportunity for licensing our technology to them.
Besides enabling students to embark on deep tech ventures, NUS Enterprise also supports faculty members involved in advanced research. Professor Huang De Qian from NUS's Department of Food Science and Technology is one such researcher. An expert in plant extractions, he co-founded Cosmode Health with Florence Leong in 2016 to commercialize his research idea. Their latest innovation is Wow Noodle, developed specially for people with diabetes.
Wow noodle is spelled as W0W. And so zero means zero waste, zero glucose spike, and zero starch. When you consume one serving of this wow noodle, which is 100 grams, right, it would likely get about 4 grams of the protein and over 6 grams of the fiber, and you are not going to get any starch. So that's the reason it won't impact your blood glucose level at all.
NUS has been paramount to our success. They nudged Professor Huang Zhejian to set up a company in Suzhou. They provided a mentor when they realized that he's lacking the commercial outlook. And after we incorporated a company, when we need a space, they gave us a desk at the hangar. And as we progressed and we needed a lab space, we were given a lab here. Importantly, I think what NUS has done is they are very forthcoming.
NUS Enterprise aims to groom over 250 new deep tech startups over the next 5 years. To this end, NUS Enterprise also collaborates with different industry partners. In 2016, NUS Enterprise and Capital Land launched NUS Enterprise at Singapore Science Park to spearhead Singapore's first deep technology hub. Here, researchers can tap into a wealth of resources to turn their patented technologies into viable businesses.
This place is actually purpose-built to provide access to both engineering as well as wet lab facilities. So for example, there's a MVP studio with electrical and mechanical equipments that you can use. But further down, actually you can also find a wet lab where startups requiring to do chemical experiments or biological experiments can actually use. This is the only one of its kind to support startups rather than to support research.
The startups based here are from 4 key verticals: agri-food tech, future health, sustainable solutions, and connected devices. In the next block is a new specialized incubator for agritech startups. The NUS Agritech Center is an innovative sandpit equipped with cutting-edge systems for technopreneurs to develop and commercialize frontier technologies to improve farm yield, growth efficiency, and profitability. Singro is a startup located at the Agritech Center. Founded by Dr. Bao Shenjie, it has developed a holistic system for growing strawberries in Singapore at room temperature all year round.
We use NUS Agritech Center space as a test bed. We test different hardware setup, which later we may apply to our next farm or to our franchisee's farm. The Agritech Center has state-of-the-art facilities for urban farming research. So this is something quite costly. So we cannot really afford this with our own resource and the fund. But we can enjoy such wonderful facilities at a very reasonable cost. And we can connect with other founders. So it's a good place to have brainstormed to inspire each other.
Besides private sector partners, NUS Enterprise also collaborates with government agencies. Since 2018, NUS Enterprise has been working with the Maritime and Port Authority of Singapore, or MPA, on Pier 71, which stands for Port Innovation Ecosystem Reimagined at Block 71. It is the first industry-wide acceleration program for the port and maritime industry.
The partnership between MPA and NUS Enterprise on Pier 71 is both important and synergistic. MPA brings on board industry access as well as partnerships, while NUS Enterprise provides the knowledge in terms of building up startup as well as an innovation ecosystem. Our vision for Pier 71 is to help establish Singapore as a global leading center for maritime technology. We want to bring together a comprehensive and highly interconnected ecosystem of startups, entrepreneurs, investors, maritime companies as well as incubators to advance this maritime innovation and technology space further.
To date, close to 80 maritime technology startups have benefited from the Pier 71 program, and 50 of them have received grants to embark on pilot projects with maritime companies. 6 innovations have even become commercial solutions. In the 2022 Leading Maritime Cities report by DNV and Menon Economics, Singapore topped the maritime technology category for the first time. This reflects how the Pier 71 community is making waves beyond Singapore's shores. 60% of the companies incubated at Pier 71 are local startups. NUS spin-off Dravam is one of them. This data-centric company develops intelligent fluid monitoring solutions that enable rapid testing and analysis of fuel quality on board ships. The co-founders, Dr. Vivek Premanathan and Derek Lee, aim to address an industry pain point.
We try to integrate all of that into one.
Okay, you agree, right?
Contaminated fuel, when it is burnt at a vessel's engine, there is asset damage. Sometimes the vessels lose power and the engine will stall. This will jeopardize the crew as well as the operations. Day rates can go easily over 30 to 40,000 per ship per day. Then more importantly, poor quality fuel leads to very poor emissions. So what we are trying to achieve here is to monitor its quality in real time, to provide for interventive feedback by the crew, by actions on the purifiers and filters, so that only cleaner fuel is burnt. At an early stage, we were looking to Pier 71 to better validate the problem, speak to more of the problem statement holders. Right now, we look towards Pier 71 more for the network to scale up, to conduct more projects in different areas. The mentorship that we got through Pier 71 shaped many of our thoughts, as well as they gave the right connections to the right people in the right sector in order for us to best position our product into that market.
Not all startups at Pier 71 are obvious candidates. One unusual suspect is a health-focused startup called FlexoSense. Co-founded by Chia Lai Peng and 3 others, it is developing a smart device that can detect and report incidents of workers slipping, tripping, or falling.
What we're going to do is do simulation work around slip, trips, and fall of the worker so that we can train the algorithm that we currently have. It's embedded inside the shoe of the worker. It has a companion app that will alert the management if there is a slip, trip, or fall for timely intervention. During the Pier 71 Accelerate program, shipyard workers try out our smart insole as a prototype. We are even able to discern very distinct work activities. A person may be hard at work, scraping off some paint at the shipyard because it has impact on the lower limb. We actually were validating with the workers as well as the supervisors on what needs to be changed to actually go into the second version of our smart insole, which is with embedded electronics inside the insole. The immediate plan is to work with our corporate partner, Keppel Shipyard, to develop that minimum viable product.
And at the same time, to be able to have safety intervention and closed-loop management.
The Pier 71 Accelerate program, it really opened the door to a brand new industry for us, which we're very grateful for. So I would say that would be the most impactful program that we have participated so far.
And the impact of NUS Enterprise continues to grow. Today, NUS has a vibrant and enterprising community of students, researchers, and professors. More than ever, the NOC community and alumni are giving back to the ecosystem, inspiring the young, nurturing the next generation of entrepreneurs, spreading and deepening Singapore's entrepreneurial culture.
In the near future, we are positioning NUS Enterprise to deepen its role. One, by ensuring that we have a strong pipeline of entrepreneurial talents, particularly of deep tech entrepreneurial talents. 2, to ensure that we have a critical mass of deep tech companies that are affiliated to NUS as well as to Singapore.
We are expanding our innovation and enterprise ecosystem in order to make it the most influential force in entrepreneurship in Asia. In Singapore, we hope to be involved with every successful deep tech startup. Ultimately, NUS aspires to be one of the most innovative universities in the world.